Lyrics of the Lost.
Hello, and welcome back, here for episode 15. This time, we'll be stalking a large and meaty target that's gone rogue for many years now, and I'm fortunate to have a second slavering set of jaws to help me rip the throat and bring down this stubborn wildebeest of a pop song. He's hungry like the wolf, and he's Dave. Welcome, Dave.
Thanks, Peter. I think like a pair of hungry cheetah, we'll tackle this one and rip its guts out.
Marvellous.
Yeah.
The lifespan of our listeners is tragically short, so we mustn't mess about. Episode 15 is this.
I bless the rains down in Africa.
Africa by Toto, 1982. Written by band members David Paich and Jeff Porcaro. Now, I'm sure we have some overarching theories about this song, but first I'd like us to look at some of the technical and factual issues in the lyrics, if that's okay with you, Dave.
I'd be delighted.
Well then, to the lyrics.
Sure as Kilimanjaro rises like Olympus above the Serengeti.
I conducted a poll in a Facebook group, and this line is the one that easily scored the most votes, 74%, for being the dumbest lyric in the song. As sure as Kilimanjaro rises like Olympus above the Serengeti. Some people probably think that's too many words and long names for just one line in a song, and it sounds a bit wanky. But there's three main issues with this line to cover. Firstly, Kilimanjaro is a mountain. Olympus is another mountain in Greece. So to say a mountain rises like another mountain, wow, really paints a picture. So that's kind of failing at one of the most basic poetic devices, I think, a simile. That's creatively bankrupt, Toto. You're hoping that the fancy names of these places will obscure the fact that your ideas are lacking, like your lack of ideas.
First of all, I think this is far from the stupidest line in the song, but we'll get to that.
Ah.
But what if you know an awful lot about Greece and nothing about any part of Africa? I think that's a very helpful simile.
But you're still saying a mountain's like a mountain.
Yeah, but you're saying this mountain that you've never heard of is like a mountain that you know.
Or it might be.
Yeah. Like saying, oh, you know that guy. He looks a bit like your dad.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Hadn't thought of it from that perspective. But,
There you go.
Yeah, I think my jury's still out on that one, but I'll give that some thought. Second issue, Kilimanjaro rises above the Serengeti. Sadly, no, it just doesn't. You can't even see Kilimanjaro from anywhere in the Serengeti, let alone see it rising above anything.
Are you sure? Are you sure about that?
Well, I am, because I've actually just come back from a virtual safari to check. Anyone can do this. You get onto Google Street Maps, Street View, and you cruise through the Serengeti National Park. Can't see any big mountain on the horizon. And if you read a few of the Serengeti's tourist websites, they make special note to caution visitors that you will not see Kilimanjaro. So the question must come up a fair bit from tourists, I'd say. Yeah.
Well, I beg to differ, because there's a very detailed Reddit thread that looks at exactly this.
Oh, wow.
And somebody has used a very complex formula that takes into account the height above sea level of the highest peak of Kilimanjaro.
And the curvature of the Earth?
The curvature of the Earth, yes. So the highest peak of Kilimanjaro is 5,895 meters, if you're interested.
Right.
The elevation of the Serengeti, which is between 1,524 and 1,829 meters, It also takes into account their relative locations, the size of the Serengeti, and the mean radius of the Earth.
And what about the atmospheric conditions? Like there's all sorts of moisture and things in the atmosphere that cause various hazes that limit visibility.
Well, that's true. What it doesn't take into account is anything like that that would skew your view, like a tall tree, for instance.
Well,
but they did calculate that Kilimanjaro would potentially be visible rising above the Serengeti as long as you're within 277 kilometres and as long as nothing else was in the way.
Well, okay, interesting. Yeah. Mm. Well, I mean, if it's on Reddit, gosh.
So I think the jury is out on this one.
Right. Well, I thought the jury pretty much was in. I mean, the fact that they've said it rises above, as majestically as Mount Olympus, home to the Greek gods, you'd want it to be more than a hazy type blip at one point on the horizon. I don't think that would really convey. There's not going to be any rising. There's going to be wincing at the horizon to be seen.
Well, I guess there's a couple of other details that we would need to know, such as where would you be viewing Olympus from? So if you're viewing Olympus from 277 kilometres away, I would suggest that Kilimanjaro probably looks even more spectacular because Olympus itself is only 2,900 metres tall. Right. Compared to over 5,800 metres for Kilimanjaro. And
they don't have the giraffes in the foreground either. So.
Well, the problem is the giraffes could block your view because they're quite tall.
They are. They are. You'd have to say down in front.
Yes.
Yes. Well, you've been quite contrary, and that's good. We need to have a fulsome, listen to all sides.
Yeah.
Just the fact that the tourist websites are saying you will not see Kilimanjaro, I would have thought that was... they should know. They should know.
Well,
and if I can't see it on Google Street View, and that's pretty high resolution these days.
Yeah, true.
Then I think most people are going to have trouble, and they obviously come up to the tourist companies all the time, and they say, "Now I paid to see Kilimanjaro, like Toto said, and I ain't leaving till you show it to me." That sort of thing. Yeah, so
I think they're just covering themselves. It's like a whale watching tour says you're not going to be guaranteed seeing whales. The tourist guides is going to guarantee that you may not see Kilimanjaro.
Yeah. Well, if Toto had never said it to begin with, people wouldn't be complaining. People wouldn't have expected it. So Toto have got a lot to answer for, I think.
Yeah. Well, they really do.
Not just in this song.
Exactly.
One of these tourist websites I'd like to shout out to ultimatekilimanjaro.com. They actually went on further on their webpage to do a bit more of the research for us. Thanks, guys. They quote Jeff Porcaro of Toto describing in a more recent interview that the mistake is basically intentional.
Yeah, right.
Because they were writing the song, let me finish, they were writing the song from the point of view of a naive white boy who's never been to Africa. You see?
Well, yes, they were writing it from that point of view because that is their point of view.
No, any mistakes are because they were written in character as he portrays a young white American 80s synth pop tosser who refuses to research or take pride in his work and lies about it 20 years later. That's the character. Yes, you're right. Yes. And I've written myself as that same character. When I was doing my HSC exams, I wrote as that character, but the stupid teachers that marked just didn't seem to get that I was answering the questions in the character of an idiot white boy who doesn't study. And they gave me some very average marks. They gave my character some very average marks. Those marks do not apply to me.
I think they were just playing along with your performance.
Oh, they marked in character.
Yeah, they marked in character. Yeah, so they actually... You actually did really well in those exams. They just marked you in character.
Gosh, it's very deep.
Yeah.
It's like the different levels of sleep in, what's that stupid movie?
Inception.
That's the one. Thank you.
They were meta exams.
Meta exams.
As long as it's not as like that one where everyone's going backwards, because that was shit.
Yeah, I couldn't finish that one.
Yeah.
Not up to his usual high standards.
Yeah.
Mr. Batman. Christopher Nolan. That's him.
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Also, I think David Paich has gone on record as saying that at that point he'd never been to any part of Africa, and he wrote the song based on a TV documentary and an article in National Geographic. So
Yeah.
I guess it's a role he'd been preparing for his entire life.
Yes, quite so. Of course, they didn't have the internet back then, so they were a bit hobbled compared to us. But if you'd seen photos of Kilimanjaro, rising beautifully with the plains in front, they just weren't the Serengeti. But and in any book where that sort of classic photo appears, I'm sure they would have a nice caption that would have told you exactly where it was.
That's true. Well, just before we move on, I just want to make it clear that I'm recording this podcast in character as a middle-aged white man who's never been to Africa.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. I totally believe your performance so far.
Thanks.
That's very good. So, we're not moving on, actually. We've still got ground to cover here. We're still on the first lyric.
We haven't even got to the first lyric.
Oh, no, well, this being the first voted dumbest lyric that we're talking about.
Yes.
Not the first lyric of the song. No. That's a whole different order of lyrics. The third issue of this same one lyric that we've covered so far.
Sure as Kilimanjaro rises like Olympus above the Serengeti.
The line begins with, "As sure as Kilimanjaro rises," referring to this like it's an absolute certainty, a timeless truth. Nothing could be more sure than Kilimanjaro rising above the Serengeti. And this, I guess I'm still harping on about it being an error, and this would compound that error and also become a second failed attempt at simile, describing one certainty as being like another certainty, but if one is complete rubbish, the other could be too. Just as sure as Sydney Harbour Bridge rises like the Golden Gate Bridge above the Yangtze River. That's that one lyric checked off.
Well, again, I hate to be contrarian.
You don't.
Actually, I do like to be contrarian.
Yeah.
But, all right, as sure as, right? So he's not saying it's sure. He's just saying this thing is as sure as that thing. What if that thing is completely uncertain? So I think the line's about, what's the line before that he's talking about being...
I know that I must do what's right, as sure as... Yes.
Well, maybe he doesn't know it. Maybe he doesn't really want to do what's right.
Maybe not.
Therefore, it is just as sure as the fact that Kilimanjaro may or may not be visible from the Serengeti.
Maybe not. That will factor into my theory, which we'll get to.
Ooh.
Let's just move on to the voted next dumbest lyric. A distant second, with 17% of the vote, is... Gonna take some time to do the things we never had.
I can't believe that was second.
Well, I'm afraid so. Take some time to learn basic grammar, more like.
Yeah, look, I wrote my notes in like the order the lyrics appear in the song, and when I got to that one, I just wrote that I'm not even going to engage with that line because the grammar's too bad. So you're on your own here.
Okay. I mean, you can take some time to do the things we never did, but not had, surely.
Yeah, or get the things we never had, like a dog.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Although maybe don't do that if you're going to be in Africa. They've got their own wild dogs, as we'll get to. Yes.
Yeah.
So things that you do are verbs and doing words for activities, and things that you had or could possess are nouns. So he's basically saying he's going to take some time to do the activities he's never possessed. Doesn't make sense. Do or do not. There is no had. Do you recognize that quote, Dave?
I do. I do.
I could have done it in the voice.
Well, why didn't you?
Do or do not. There is no had. How's that?
Yeah, see, when Yoda's making fun of your grammar, you're in a bad place.
Yeah, he's not a good grammar person, really, is he? Or syntax. Is that his problem?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can do things and then have a memory of doing them. So you can have that, but yeah, you can't possess an activity. In fact, while you're doing an activity, perhaps it's the activity that possesses you.
Ooh.
While you're caught up in doing it, whatever it is. You're kind of a slave to it, maybe, until you stop and do something else. Something to think about, or not.
Like I said, I'm not engaging.
You're still not engaging. Okay. You can engage with me that's engaging, though.
That's true.
Surely you find me engaging.
I find you very engaging, but I find this line atrocious.
Right, okay. I should take a moment to point out that there are, yes, a few exceptional words that are both verb and noun. You can take some time to fish, because you never have fish, but then the act of fishing is very different from having the fish itself. So these exceptions, they don't really work either. They don't really save the grammar here.
But that would work within the song. Gonna take some time to
fish.
To fish because we never had fish.
Yeah, but you don't have to fish to get fish. You can buy fish. Most people buy fish to get their fish. I mean, there's also, you can take the time to hammer because you never had a hammer.
Yeah. Well, if I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning.
Very good. Yes. And you can also take the time to dump because you haven't had a dump. Eat muesli, try to stay regular. Third dumbest line with 12% of the vote.
Ooh.
We have this.
The wild dogs cry out in the night.
The wild dogs cry out in the night. So far, so good.
As they grow restless, longing for some solitary company.
As they grow restless, longing for some solitary company. Solitary company seems quite obviously contradictory and maybe dumb. But the oxymoron, like this one, is a legitimate and often used poetic device.
Yes, I think that's fair enough, but I think I would put it into the category of one of these lines that thinks it's really clever but isn't. Yes,
I thought it was along similar lines because we've run into this sort of thing before, where an oxymoron can seem superficially clever sounding, but then when you think them through, sometimes they don't really hold any extra meaning. Shakespeare wrote about the heavy lightness of love, which I think nicely describes the varied mix of emotions surrounding love.
Yeah.
But it can also just be a bluff. And maybe Toto want you to be impressed, but they also don't want you to look too closely either. So let's have a look. Africa's wild dogs. They're pack animals, so no reason they would want to be solitary. But maybe in a pack, they are as one in a solitary company in that sense. Maybe they've become separated after a hunt, and they cry out to each other in the dark to help reform the pack.
That's true.
That's one possibility. Or maybe the dogs are in season and looking for a mate. There's a phrase where you could say, wow, I'd like to be alone with her. Or you could say to a third person, if you don't mind, we'd like to be alone together.
Oh, yeah.
So alone with or alone together also sound contradictory, but are kind of okay in the sense when you're looking for the company of one further solitary person. Either way, I'm not sure this oxymoron adds anything, but I'd kind of let this one go, benefit of the doubt.
Sure, I think you've convinced me with the wild dog crying out for some company of a lady wild dog. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about romance. Romance with dogs.
Yeah. They're going to take some time to do the things they never had.
Wild doggy style.
Hey.
Interesting. Okay, next with 3% of the vote for dumbest lyric, we have...
I stopped an old man along the way.
I stopped an old man along the way. Okay, and why did you do that?
Hoping to find some old forgotten words or ancient melodies.
Hoping to find some old forgotten words or ancient melodies. I'm not sure what people think is particularly dumb about this lyric. Old men truly do know some forgotten words like by jingo, widdershins, codswallop, interrobang, hullabaloo, blithering, and eventide. So this might be an admission by Toto that they have no good lyric ideas left, and they just want to extend their vocab with the help of the old man, who might also know some ancient melodies, which sounds to me like they're looking for some music that's no longer covered by copyright, which lasts about 70 years after the creator's death. So an old man might know some from back then, and Toto can have it for free. They've basically stopped an old man, and they're trying to harass him into writing their next pop song. You there, old man, give us words and free music and nobody gets hurt.
Yeah, but he doesn't say he gets any of that stuff from the old man. The old man probably has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, they don't say whether the old man actually came up with the goods.
No.
He just sort of says, what is it?
He turned to me as if to say, hurry boy, it's waiting there for you.
Hurry boy, it's waiting there for you. But, yeah, it doesn't sound like it's very helpful, does it?
No, he doesn't even say what it is. Although I've got an idea about that. Maybe we'll get to that later.
Yeah. But basically, I think they stopped the old man along the way to try and get him to write a pop song for them, which is a bit selfish.
Yeah.
Buy him a meal or something in exchange. Yeah. And now, lastly, I only had one vote for this line being dumb, and I think it deserves way more. I bless the rains down in Africa. I bless.
Yeah.
The members of Toto are not a group of suitably ordained priests. They do not have the power to bless anything. And they didn't say God bless or just bless. They said, I bless the rains. If you sneeze, Dave, and I say, bless you, I don't mean I bless you. It's a shortening of God bless you. I'm requesting your blessing by a higher power. And in singing I bless, Toto are claiming deity status. That's sacrilege.
Yes, well, I personally think this is probably the key line for the entire song.
Well, it's repeated often enough.
Well, it is.
You'd think it would be.
So, as you say, the man himself blesses the rains. So I don't know if you read this, but David Page claimed that at least part of the song is written from the point of view of a missionary who loves Africa.
Yeah, I think I've read something about missionaries, some experience he had growing up with missionaries. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, because he's never been to Africa, he doesn't seem to know anything about Africa at all. So it's quite generic. Africa. Africa's a pretty varied place, but he just likes Africa.
Probably thinks it's a country.
Yeah, that's right. The country of Africa, or the city of Africa. Anyway, this missionary, if he was a proper missionary, he would be, as you said, saying, God bless the rains. I think it's an important distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm getting quite a strong Heart of Darkness, Apocalypse Now kind of vibe about this song.
Oh, right.
So he's saying, I bless the rains. Does he believe he is a god? Is he some kind of demigod revered?
He's Colonel Kurtz.
Exactly, yeah. He's a cult leader. He's a demigod.
Wow.
You know, maybe he was sent as a missionary, became drunk on his power, succumbed to his darker side, became a kind of deranged, megalomaniac cult leader, ruling with a combination of charisma and fear. Maybe he's just summarily executing locals who displease him or threaten his rule.
Golly. Yeah.
This
is very interesting because looking online just to see what other people had mentioned, and a person on one website with the username Revtangoon, he wrote, this song is clearly about Vietnam as well.
Ah.
Yeah. He goes on to mention,
I hear the drums echoing tonight.
I hear the drums echoing tonight. That's the gunfire a soldier hears as he lies in the mud.
Yeah.
She's coming in 12:30 flight.
She's coming in 12:30 flight. She being the airstrike that's been called for 12:30.
The moonlit wings reflect the stars that guide me towards salvation.
Moonlight on the wings of the F-14 Phantoms as they approach the strike zone. The same moonlight and stars guide the soldier to his salvation, being the elimination of communism.
Wow.
I stopped an old man along the way. The old man is Charlie. Despite the war, the soldier recognizes the ancient wisdom of the Vietnamese people. The wild dogs crying out in the night is the Viet Cong. And Charlie wants the solitary company of communists like Russia and China. So there you go.
Wow, okay.
That's what you were thinking?
Not quite. I mean,
partially.
Well, partially, yeah. I had a different idea about the woman coming in on the 12:30 flight.
Yes.
If you take it together with some of the other lines, we're assuming that this is somebody he actually wants to meet. It's his wife or his girlfriend or something. But maybe the woman that's coming in is his nemesis. Maybe it's his Captain Willard come to terminate him with extreme prejudice.
Yep, sure.
Yeah. And then later on he says, I seek to cure what's deep inside, frightened of this thing that I've become. So I think he knows he's become the embodiment of evil. You know, maybe he was originally sent to preach the gospel to the Africans, but he's become that devil that he sought to protect them from. And maybe he's actually looking forward to this woman coming, and he craves the confrontation with her. He knows it will be his undoing, and only by facing his own death at her hands is he going to find that salvation that he seeks, which he talks about elsewhere in the song also.
That really works. That works better than just a general representation of Vietnam, but very specifically Heart of Darkness. And that original story, is it by Robert Conrad or someone?
Yep. Yeah.
That wasn't originally about Vietnam as the movie was made. Was that a transplanted subject for the same story?
Well, that's right. So much like this song, it was sort of generically set in Africa. I think people reckon it's probably the Belgian Congo because of the way it was described, I guess. But yeah, I mean, that was the other reason I was thinking of it. This is about Africa. That was set somewhere in Africa.
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
One of the most misheard lyrics in the song.
Hurry, boy, it's waiting there for you.
Pretty boy, she's waiting there for you. Sounds like something you'd say to a parakeet. But no, it's hurry, boy, she's waiting there for you. I've listened to the song with two people in recent weeks who both thought it was pretty boy. And one of these people, my work buddy Graham, Googled it, which took him to a website called kissthisguy.com.
Yes.
Which, do you know of this website? Yes, it's a misheard Jimi Hendrix lyric title, and of course it's a database of misheard song lyrics.
Oh, well, yes, I knew about Excuse Me While I Kiss This Guy.
So kissthisguy.com. I took the liberty of adding your misheard Kate Bush lyric from Running Up That Hill.
Excellent.
Where you thought she sang get into small round places.
Yes.
Nobody else had reported that, so you're on your own there.
Nobody else admits to it.
Well, someone did say they thought it was get it in small hard places, which sounds very provocative. But
I misheard a line of this song for many years. I always thought it was I Miss the Rains Down in Africa.
Oh, okay. Yes, that one's been logged quite a few times as well. Yeah, not unlike the Vietnam stuff. Another person online quotes their dad who told him this song is about mercenaries because wild dogs is apparently slang for mercenaries in Africa. And they reckon this song was about a mercenary meeting with his lover to try to forget the horrible things he's done. And this story may be informed by the misheard lyric, I've led some raids down in Africa, which is it's another one from the Kiss This Guy. Yeah.
But see, I Miss the Rains works better with I'm going to take the time to do the things we never had or did. You know, I miss the old days in Africa and I'm going to do some stuff that we didn't do.
Well, the things we couldn't do because it was raining. Yeah. If we go back, it won't be raining next time we go back, and we can play soccer.
Yeah.
Go camping. But if I can get to my overarching theory now, that explains everything.
Please do.
Shows, in fact, that they are quite clever and quite deliberate, but also very evil.
Evil.
Yes. So, gravely, I must say, I think this is a very satanic song. Oh, sorry, I read a performance note there. I was just going to say that bit gravely, not begin with the word gravely. Oh well, anyway.
She's coming in 12:30 flight.
She's coming in 12:30 flight. So we have this man who's waiting for his partner to return on a late flight. She's been away on some trip. So meanwhile, he hasn't been getting any action. And that's all he can think about while he goes to the airport to pick her up. His blood is boiling with desire.
I hear the drums echoing tonight.
I hear the drums echoing tonight. That's his blood pounding in his veins. That's the drums he hears.
Mm.
Are you enthralled already?
I am enthralled. I was thinking about wild dogs crying out for solitary company.
Yes. Well, that's...
I guess that's all part of it.
That's all part of it, sure.
Yes, yeah. Sorry.
But Africa, the dark continent, represents evil, represents the wild heathen hordes down there in godless bacchanalian orgies, animal passions, evil temptations. And he's here experiencing his own very personal rising of Olympus. And he's also
Frightened of this thing that I've become.
frightened of this thing that I've become, being this sex-crazed evil thing.
Wow.
Africa, in all its teeming and verdant lands, is like the biblical tree of temptation, home to the serpent himself, and we know Satan is the lord of lies, which casts the earlier mistakes in this song as, deliberate, such as the line,
I know that I must do what's right.
yeah, we've discussed this. I know that I must do what's right, which is the line preceding, as sure as Kilimanjaro rises like Olympus above the Serengeti. So because we know that Kilimanjaro doesn't rise there, at least not to any extent that's notable, we also know that this man intends specifically not to do what's right. That's the devious truth poisoning the minds of Toto as they wrote, unaware that they had been corrupted and were now sucking at Satan's teat. The old man that he stops along the way to the airport, that's Satan himself appearing in another form. He turned to me as if to say, hurry boy, it's waiting there for you. Yes, go get it, big boy. Sex is there for the taking. Hurry, don't think, don't stop to ask for consent. It's the woman as only a sexual object reduced to an it. It's waiting there for you. And when he gets her this time,
Gonna take some time to do the things we never had.
he's going to take his time to do the things we never had done before.
Yeah.
Things she won't want done. Horrible, sick acts of depravity.
Gonna take a lot to drag me away from you.
It's going to take a lot to drag me away from you. Yes, we can imagine. He's going to be on her like a barnacle, a sexual mollusk, a Randy Limpet. Nothing could pry him off.
There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do.
Nothing that 100 men or more could ever do.
You.
Which also refers to that's the supernatural powers that may be bestowed when you're in league with Satan. The power of more than 100 men, apparently.
Wow.
And Africa also represents, I think, the hot and humid pubic region of the human groin, a region that is vaguely Africa-shaped, if it's unlandscaped. And when you see the lyric, I bless the rains down in Africa, they're obviously talking about the moment of ejaculation, and that's why the song climaxes with that line at the end, 5 times in a row, fading away very quickly thereafter, feeling spent and now a bit sleepy.
So if Africa refers to the groinal region...
Yes, groinal, I like that word.
Thank you. Why was the song not called Tasmania?
Well, yes, if they'd been Australian, if it was Men at Work that had done the song,
That's right.
I'm sure it would have been.
Would have called Mappa Tassie.
That's right. But, given that most of the world, when they draw Australia, leave Tasmania off entirely.
That's true.
Yeah, you can't expect them to be as familiar with the map of Tassie, as it were, that Australians are familiar with.
It's almost like Australia's shaved its pubic hair off.
Yes, I bless the rains down in Tasmania.
Yeah. It does rain quite a bit in Tasmania, to be fair.
It does. Yeah. Probably even more in New Zealand, but that would be a pubic thatch that's really gotten out of control.
Yes.
That would require a back sack and crack wax. So Toto's Africa is a love letter to Satan, rejoicing and bathing in pagan moral squalor and wanton sins of the flesh. And it's disgusting.
Was this sex-crazed, Satan-possessed man wearing Lynx Africa?
Well, I mean, as a cause, or just just another symptom of the horrible sex-crazed fever that he's in?
Well, I mean, I think the idea is that the Lynx Africa would send the woman into a sex-crazed fever, isn't it?
Oh, yes, that's true.
Or send her running from the room. That's quite a satanic product, I find.
It definitely is. I don't think it was available in 1982.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, both the man and woman would have been drowning together in satanic filth.
Toto were probably more of an Old Spice kind of band.
Yeah, yeah, it might have been a less potent Old Spice or Blue Stratos. Whatever it is that instigated the evil hungers of the body and the flesh, it only affected the man, so he's possibly getting off on his own aftershave or his own personal manly musk.
Oh yes. Ooh.
When you embrace Satan, it comes with all sorts of things. There's smell. Satan will tempt you with smells.
Yeah.
As well as thoughts.
Yeah.
Mm.
Actually, I did have another theory that accounts for part of the song. It's a bit less satanic.
Okay.
What if the song is actually about being in Toto?
Okay.
So I hear the drums echoing tonight. Obviously drums could represent drums.
It's probably the drummer, yes.
Yeah, and it was the 80s. Drum sounds during the 80s had quite a lot of echo and reverb on them, so that makes perfect sense.
All right. And it makes perfect sense to say the drums sound like drums because they like that sort of simile where a mountain is like a mountain. Yeah.
There you go. But he's hearing the drums echoing. Maybe they're at a sound check. And whoever this woman is, she only hears whispers of some quiet conversation. She's out somewhere else having a chat. So, difference between the rock star life, the ordinary person life, you see.
She might be just outside the studio and it's really well insulated, so she's not hearing any of it. That's good. But maybe she's like a groupie?
Yeah, could be.
Hanging around the studio outside?
Yeah. And later in the song, he talks about being frightened of this thing that I've become. So the members of Toto were originally mostly very successful studio musicians. So they played on records that sold millions of copies, but in themselves they were pretty much anonymous. And then Toto becomes successful, they become rock stars. Maybe that's not what they ever wanted. Maybe they're frightened of what they've become. Yeah. See?
They liked the distance in being a session musician and not having to take full responsibility for the final product they put out.
Yeah.
But now it's all on them, and they know how quickly their material is going to date, that they've become something that's laughable.
Well, weirdly, this song doesn't seem to have dated, and a few years ago it was massive with the teenagers.
Yes.
I don't understand it, but they do.
I was trying to find the origin of that revival in popularity. Around 2017, it became big, and that's when some of this other stuff that happened, like there's a bot account on Twitter that tweets a random lyric from Africa every 3 hours, and has done since 2016.
Wow.
You can follow along on Twitter at Africa Toto Bot. And there's another one with a similar name doing the same thing. So, yeah, that was 2016. And there's a website called ibless.therains.downin.africa. which just plays an eternal loop of the Africa music video. Yeah, great domain, your registration. Yeah. And of course, better still, in January 2019, a sound installation was set up at an undisclosed location in the Namib desert to play the song aloud on a constant loop with solar batteries. And the artist's quote is, he wants to keep Toto going for all eternity. But then just today, I also found that, I don't know if you'd call them a celebrity it couple of that mid-2000 teens, Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard.
Oh, yes.
They've been in a few Hollywood things, but they're not really that big. But they did go down to Africa on their holiday, and they filmed a music video of themselves sort of lip-syncing and dancing to this song. And that went really viral, apparently. And unfortunately, they got fined while dancing around near some wildebeests, because you're supposed to be respectful. In fact, at the end of their video, they run out onto a plain where there's some giraffes, and the giraffes see them coming and go, Jesus Christ, and they just turn around and slowly gallop off like giraffes do. It's like, why are they intimidating the giraffes just so they can have some movement in the end of their music video? It's a bit sad.
Well, also around 2018, the band Weezer recorded a cover of Africa, which I think was requested by the fans.
And featuring Weird Al Yankovic.
Really?
Yeah, he was doing the vocals.
I've just looked it up, and I hadn't realised that Weird Al was in there. But there you go.
Yeah. But interestingly, it's just a straight cover. There's no joke lyrics at all, which is very different for Weird Al. But such must be his awe for the song.
The other thing that happened around that time, from what I was reading, were attempts to have the song cancelled for being racist.
Oh, yeah. I saw some talk surrounding racism on one of these websites that I was looking at, kind of like Reddit. It's all user comments, and all of the actual accusations about it being racist had been deleted, but people in the comments were still referencing so-and-so's username who said it was racist, and they were all getting very angry and sort of saying, this is political correctness gone mad, this is just these wokey leftists, I don't know. Comments like that.
Sure.
But I couldn't see the argument that they'd made to begin with. Although, if you see the music video, there is a bit of a spear-chucking black man.
Yeah. You've got your sexy black librarian. You've got... Yeah. There's a few problems with that video. To me, the song isn't quite racist, but I think it's lazy and pretty much just deals in stereotypes.
Yeah.
Like, you got the first line of the song, right? I hear the drums echoing tonight.
Yeah.
Like, that's straight away into a stereotype. He's singing about Africa, so he starts with tribal drums.
It's just full of tribesmen. There's no civilization.
Exactly. Maybe you could have started somewhere a bit less obvious, and what that brought to my mind was the sort of old kind of colonialist trope. You've got your white, maybe the English men in long shorts wearing pith helmets, standing around on the veranda of a mansion, drinking their gin and tonics and remarking that the natives are restless tonight. Yeah. I think even in the video clip, the guy, one of the band members, just seemed to be wearing a safari shirt. Yes. No pith helmet, but it's beige and it's close. Yeah. Yeah. And that when they start talking about the wild dogs growing restless, are they saying restless dogs just because they can't say restless natives? So, yeah. Actually, you mentioned this song being about being in Toto. Yes. One guy had a theory. Look at the name of the band. Now look at the lyrics. The tune is actually about Oz from the perspective of Toto the dog. Oh, God. It's a heart-wrenching song of a tiny dog's absolute devotion to his human. And I think this is almost solely tied to the one line, hurry, boy, she's waiting there for you. Come on, boy.
Where is she? Where is she? Yeah.
He does know that they made like 3 albums before this song, right? And they were called Toto all that time.
Yeah, that's true. That's drawing a long bow.
Yeah.
So that's Africa wrapped up in much less time than David Attenborough would have done it.
That's true.
Well done, everyone. Any sponsors to thank this week, Dave?
Well, yes, one. I think I'd like to thank the makers of wooden nest boxes made out of recycled timber.
Wooden nest boxes. Wow.
Yeah.
They sit inside each other like a Russian doll, do they?
No, not nesting boxes, nest boxes. Boxes for birds to nest in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see. And you've bought one?
I bought one last year and it didn't get used, but this year a pair of white-throated tree creepers have moved in, and I'm getting a lot of pleasure from watching them build their nest inside it. So, yeah, that's it.
That sounds like something from a horror movie, a white-breasted tree creeper.
No, they're look a bit like a honey eater or something. They're a little bird that sort of runs up and down tree trunks. Very cute.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank ultimatekilimanjaro.com, book your safari now, and kissthisguy.com. Unfortunately, they haven't actually published any new submissions since 2018, so I don't know what's going on there, but they need to get the website going again, because this is very, very good and valuable work, and like I've submitted your misheard lyric, but it might not ever be seen up there if they don't get back to it. So fingers crossed. I'd also like to thank our cat, Maggie, this week as a sponsor. She's caught a few tiny mice in our flat. She managed to just scare one to death, which was impressive. It didn't have any wounds at all. Got away from her under the kitchen oven, where it apparently had a heart attack.
Oh.
Yeah, and Maggie just sat there meowing at the stove until we fished it out with a stick. Excellent work. She's also very good in the bathroom. She's often sitting in the empty bathtub for hours and staring at the plug hole. Occasionally some very small kind of bug will crawl out and she'll pounce on it and eat it. I think because we always shower and never use the bath, and its plumbing S-bend has dried out, so there's no water barrier for tiny things that can now crawl up the drain pipes, insects and small alligators, that sort of thing. Yeah, thanks, Maggie.
Well done, Maggie.
Yeah.
Lyrics of the Lost.